Hey, what up, guys? It's Icy from the PD team. Today I'm going to be doing a general overview of Project Destroyer. I'll be telling you some cool things about it and everything you need to know to get started with the bot. So here we go. First thing you notice when you load up the bot is it's going to be on the dashboard. It's going to have these multiple tabs up at the top, which is where you're going to be doing everything that you need to do to be setting up tasks and stuff to cop shoes and Supreme and everything you want. So you can see I already have tasks created. This is from the most recent Yeezy drop. It was the Yeezy Lundmarks. So first off, once you have tasks actually set up, you have these buttons over here. You have the start and stop button. You have the delete task button. You have an edit button, which you can individually edit tasks with. So here you can put in all your different options. You have the clone task button. We'll just make it the ditto that task and make another one. And then you have these few buttons, which aren't actually needed right now, but will be used if needed and will be gone over in guides in the future. Another thing you have in here is your monitor and error delays, which you can see which one's which by just deleting them. This is what will be the global delays, which will be used for all tasks that don't have a custom delay, which I will go over later. It's basically delays that are specific to tasks. So here's the global delays. You can just put in whatever number you want to use, and then you hit the little save icon, and now you have your tasks custom delays. Global delays. You have your start all and stop all button, and you have your clear button. These do exactly what they look like they do. They start all your tasks, they can stop all your tasks, and then they can clear all your tasks when you need to do that. Next thing you have up here is these site-specific like things you can do. So for example, here I have Yeezy Supply, then I have an Adidas site type and Adidas. It's because I have Yeezy Supply tasks and I have Adidas tasks. So this basically gives you options to edit by site type. And what you can do by site type is start, stop, clear, clone, edit, and change the delays, which is really nice because sometimes if you want to just edit the delays, say on like Supreme tasks when you're running like Supreme, and then like for a random Shopify drop, you want them to have different delays, you can edit them all here super easily. And same with like changing keywords or changing it to direct link or clearing them. This is the easiest way to do that. You also just have the bulk edit, which is for every single task, and you just click that right here. You have bulk scheduling, which will schedule all your tasks, and then you have cancel, which will cancel the schedule. And then here you can export tasks. So if you want to like switch from your home computer to a server, you can export all your tasks, and then here's the button you would use to import them. But the better thing to use if you want to switch to a server would be export all settings. This basically export your PD as is. So if you want to transfer your Project Destroyer instance exactly how it is to a server or to another computer, then you can export all settings. It will come with your profiles, your tasks, your capture harvesters loaded in. Basically everything that you see now will be able to be imported into another instance. So that's a really useful button, and it really makes things easy when switching computers. Next thing you have is export Adidas carts. So if you're running an Adidas release, you can use that to export carts. Up here, you'll see some useful things. It will tell you how many active tasks you have, how many proxies you have, and then the proxy to task ratio. So this is just overall. So if you have different proxy groups that you're using, it's not going to like show those. It just shows like how many proxies you have loaded into the global proxy tab, how many tasks total, and then the proxy to task. This is nice because, as you probably know, you have to normally try and get a certain proxy task ratio so you don't get banned. And this was just a nice way. It just tells you everything you have. Okay, so that's it for the dashboard. The next thing you have is the new task page. This is where you're going to set up all your tasks and where you're going to see all the sites that we support, which is a lot of sites. So you don't have to scroll through them. You can just search them up. So say like the last release, I want to look up Yeezy Supply. I just type it in and then select which one I'm going to be using. There's two different views, expert and non-expert. Expert's just used to basically select like more specific and in-depth things. You don't have to use export most of the time. Most of the time, especially if you're just getting started, you're just going to use this simplified view, and this is just gives you like the most critical things that you need to set up. Expert view is used if you have been using it for a while and there's like a few other things that you want to like tick and not tick. But for now, I'm just going to go over the expert view because it includes all the settings you might need to use. First thing you have is the monitor, which you can which it tells you what you can use keywords, URL, and variant here. So on Project Destroyer, to use keywords, we use a plus, and then keyword 1, and then a comma, no space, and then plus again, and keyword 2, etc., etc. So however many keywords you have, you're going to use them in this format. This live product is actually going to be taken out in the next update, so we don't have to worry about that. This expand input basically just will expand the keywords thing. Sometimes if you put in a long link, you won't be able to see it all or whatever, so it's just a nice little thing that you can do so you can make sure that everything's correct. Next thing you have is the mode. So right now what's offered is safe, super safe, advanced, lightning, and both. Lightning, like I said, is going to be taken out, which is what this was used for. But so we have safe, super safe, and advanced, and what both does is makes a task for all 3 of these. And they're just different modes. We normally tell you which one to use in our guides and stuff, so I don't really need to tell you exactly how they differ, but in general, advanced is fastest, and then safe, and then super safe. But recently, sites have been using lots of anti-bot and stuff like that, so it's not always best to just use advanced. You're going to want to listen to what we say in our guides and in announcements in the Discord. Next thing you have is the mode. This is going to be depending on what you put in here. You don't really need to ever touch this, because if you put in keywords, it's going to default to keywords. But if you put in a link like this, it's going to automatically change it to a link. So you don't really ever need to worry about that. That's another nice thing. Next thing you have is the price and the size range, which you can enable down here with these checkboxes. And basically what it does is allows you to select a price and a size range. And what that means is if you select a price range, say 200 to 250, it will only check out the item that's in between that price range. So say you're monitoring Yeezy and Yeezy drops its 300 and it picks it up with the monitor. If it's not between these two, it won't check out. And that's the same thing with a size range. It will only check out sizes between this range. Next thing you have is the quantity that the bot will cart with. So if you have it to 3, it will cart 3 of that item. So normally this is on 1 for obvious reasons. Next thing over here is your proxy lists. So in Project Destroyer, you can set up proxy lists, which I will talk about later. And this is basically where you can set them. Basically what proxy lists are, quick rundown, is just different lists with different proxies. So you can use like Resis on Supreme or like DCs on Shopify at the same time. And so it's not just one global list that you're using. This is a specific proxy. If you want a specific task to have a specific proxy, you put it here. Next thing you have is custom rates. So custom shipping rate. You can turn that on by clicking this. If you know the shipping rate for the site, it basically just makes the checkout process a little faster. A lot of the time we will provide this, especially for DSM, but if we don't, then you have to find it on your own or just not use it. It's not that big of a deal. But next thing you have is task-specific error or monitor delay. I was talking about this earlier. This is what you can do to set a delay for your task that's different from this global monitor delay. So say you have like this delays and you want these to be used for Shopify, but then you're creating a Supreme task that you want to have lower delays with, then you can select custom delay and input that custom delay here. Next thing you have is send checkout URL to webhook. This is basically used for sites like Easy Supply, where once it checks out, say the bot's having struggles like auto checking out, that's what it will do. It will just automatically send you the checkout link to your webhook that you have selected, and then you can manually check out if it's getting stopped by like anti-bot or whatever. Next thing you have is your size selection and profile selection. And what you do here is you just select whatever size you want and whatever profile you want to use. Pretty simple, but one thing to note is that you can select multiple at a time, which is really nice, by pressing Control and clicking if you're on Windows, or Command and clicking if you are on Mac. One other thing is you can shift click to quickly select a whole lot of them at once. What it will do is it will now create a task with these specifications for every size here and for every profile here. And you got to note that it will use every profile to size combination. So here, let's make it a little simpler. If I select 3 and 3, it will make a total of 9 tasks, because I'm going to make one with Jalen 5560 for small, medium, and large, and then small, medium, large for these other two as well. Next thing you have is scheduling. This is where you can schedule tasks, and then you can also schedule a stop time. You can also have it where it will change monitor delays. And so say you're monitoring for a Shopify drop just at like 3,500 delays over here, and you want it to change to like 10,000 to like run for restocks after you would put in the second error and monitor delay here, and then you put the time when you want it to change to that. Next thing you have is your task count. So this is how many tasks will be created, which with each combination. So if I put 2 here, it's going to be a total of 18 tasks, because it's going to do every one of these combinations twice. Next thing you have is the account group, and this is basically used for sites that need accounts like Undefeated or previews. You set these up in the accounts tab, which I'll shortly go after later, but here's where you can select the group to use for your tasks. For Yeezy Supply, we obviously don't need accounts, so I would leave that unchecked. So that's it for the create new task tab, and it's also really nice that if you like leave the tab and come back, all your stuff stays there, so you won't lose your progress. And same thing with if you even create a task and come back to it. Like for example, let me just create one task here. If I create a task, then the info will still stay there, so I can create quickly tasks. Like if I want to create safe mode tasks and super safe, then I would create them safe, and then I just have to change it to super safe instead of having to redo that whole process over again. Next thing you have is your profiles tab, which I'm going to take this off screen to make sure it doesn't show any of my information. Okay, so in the profiles tab, this is where you set up all your profiles, obviously. It's really easy to set up profiles in PD due to the various little methods that have been added, or features that have been added to make it easy. In here, I'm in the example profile, and one thing to start out with is just clear fields or whatever. And if you want to create a test profile, you just hit randomize values, and now you have a completely random profile that you can use to test sites on, and you can do that as many times as you want. And when creating a profile, say you have all your information in here, you can save the profile. So at the bottom here, the newly created profile will be right here. And one cool thing that really expedites setting up a lot of profiles quickly is that you can just change one character in your profile name, which is this box right here, and then hit save profile, and a completely new profile will be made. It's really useful. Say for example, if you want to set up a lot of profiles that have the same shipping information, basically they're tied to your name, but they're different card numbers, then you can quickly just change the name, or change the profile name, one character, and then input the new card number and such, and then hit save profile, and that saves you a ton of time, so you don't have to re-enter all your shipping and billing information, stuff like that. And then you can also organize your profiles by just dragging them to where you want them. And then you can import and export profiles, like same thing with tasks. And then this button will just delete all your profiles, so be really careful with that. The jig address button basically will jig your address, and it will change it around. So if you're on a site that cancels, but you want to order multiple to your same address, then you can use this button, and it will basically like mess with your address to try and make it seem like a different address, but it will really ship to the same place. Phone number will just give you a random phone number, and .chick will put a dot randomly in your email, which will still register as your email, but it will look different to the site. So these 3 things are just things to try and basically seem like you're ordering from a different person, an address or whatever, to try and get multiples on sites when it's really the same. Next thing you have is one checkout per site and limit by count. This basically will limit how many times you can check out by on this profile. So if you have it limit by count and you to 3, then once this profile checks out 3 times, then it will stop checking out on any site. You can also do one checkout per site. So this will only check out 1 time on that site. And once it checks out, then it won't check out any more on that site. So yeah, that's it for the profiles. Pretty straightforward and simple and nice to use. Next thing is your proxies tab. Again, I'm going to move it off screen so I don't show all my proxies. Let me just go to a random list. Okay, so here's your proxy tab. There's a lot of cool things in here. Let's start out with just inputting normal proxies. Here's where you put your proxies. You do one per line, and you do it in the IP port user pass format. And if it's IP auth, then you just do IP port. And you put them one line each, and you just do them all the way down. And then you hit save when you're done. You can create a group by hitting new group, putting in the group name, and putting in the proxies right there. And yeah, so that's a really nice thing to do, is proxy groups, because then you can use different groups to monitor different sites and stuff. You have the test button, and you can test it against different sites to see if your proxies are banned or working. And then you have your delete group, so you can select a group and then delete it if you no longer want to use it. Next thing you have is the proxy spawner. It's a really cool thing that allows you to create your own proxies. You can create a lot of them, and it uses basically Google Cloud and Amazon Web Services and sites like that to create them. It's really nice if you need some last-minute proxies, or you need a lot of proxies, then you can create them. We have documentation on this in the Discord on how to set this all up, and if you ever have help, then we can always help you if you create a ticket. So yeah, that's for the proxies tab. Cool features here. Let's go on to the accounts tab. So in the accounts tab, it looks pretty much just like the proxies tab. You have your little input box where you put your proxies in the email password format, and then you have the tester against different sites. So say I have an undefeated account and I want to test if it is a real undefeated account and works or whatever, then I'd put that account here, and then I'd hit test, and I would see what would come up over here. Since this isn't in the actual format, it won't do anything, but I think if I go like this, then it will show up. See, it's invalid because it can't log in. So yeah, you can test your accounts by doing that, and then you can save your list obviously by putting save. And then again, you have groups that you can make. So if I want accounts in a group for previews, like I already have actually, then I would create a previews group, and then I would put all my previews accounts in here and hit save, and then I have that group created. Global is just global. It's just the default one that's always there, and it basically is whatever you put there. You don't have to actually have anything in there. Like I don't have anything in here because I always use groups for whatever sites I use. You have the delete group obviously, and pretty much all the same buttons that you had in the proxies tab. So yeah, this is basically what you use to set up accounts for different sites such as Adidas, Undefeated, Previews, etc. Next thing you have is your settings tab. Here is where you're gonna do all your settings for Project Store, obviously. So first thing you have is Slack and Discord webhook. If you want to enable webhooks, we have video on our YouTube channel on how to do that. But basically, you can send successful checkouts and checkout links to different webhooks. So what you do is you just enable them here, and then you put your webhook in, and it's that simple. Press save, and then you can test your hooks to make sure you're working. So if I press test hooks down here, it's going to show up right there. So yeah, that's how I know mine is working. Next thing you have is the default theme. Here's where you select your theme. We have lots of free themes which are really cool. Like one I really like is code. So let's press save, and then now my code is different. So I'm gonna go back to main. Next thing you have is auto click. It's pretty much always be on. It basically just auto clicks a captcha if it comes up. You have waterfall monitor, which is a different methodology to monitor sites. It will basically just use one task to monitor, which will save you a lot of data if you're using like a residential plan, and then once that task picks up, it will start all your other tasks. Next thing you have is the proxies with PayPal and auto login and load. You just want this on because it will log into your captchas every time you load the bot. Proxies is basically just used if you're doing a PayPal checkout site, and then if you want to use proxies on that. Here's your quick task settings. So if you ever use a monitor that has quick tasks, this is where you set up your settings. You can just basically choose all your defaults for when you quick task stuff. Next thing you have is the time button. This basically just sends you a link that gives you the exact time. It's used to make sure that you know exactly what time it is and you don't start on your drop late, because a lot of times, like here you see here, your clock is 0.6 seconds ahead. So this is the exact time. This Google log at all will log you out of all your captchas, and then you have the last two buttons, save and reset. This saves all your settings obviously, and this will reset all your settings to default. Up here, there's some few things you need to know. This is the change log, where if you open this, it will give you the most recent change log. You can also just check in the Discord to get the change log under the change log channel. This is your capture harvesters. You can have up to 10 of them where you log in to Google, YouTube, so you can get one-click captures when running tasks on sites. We also have a really cool thing, which is an activity generator, which basically will try to give you more activity on your account so you can get more one-clicks and like basically regain them faster. You just click this button to launch all your captures and have them generate all, and basically this will launch all the harvesters and this will generate all the harvesters. You can also just log in by pressing a little arrow, put in your proxy, and then put in the email password, and it will log in. This will turn sounds on or off, and then this will deactivate the bot, which will basically make it so you have to re-enter the key to get back in. It won't actually delete any of your settings or anything like that. Okay, got 2 more tabs. Next one is stats. This basically shows you your successful checkouts and successful fails. So let's go to week, or let's go to all time. 23 checkouts, 133 fails, and it's tied to your key. So on this key, I have 23 checkouts, 133 fails. You have your achievements, which isn't really used right now, but in the future it may be updated. So there's certain goals you can get. Next thing you have is your shop. This is where you have all your keys, your gold and stuff. So you basically can buy themes, but right now they're all just free. So yeah, and you can try and like get these goals to get more gold, but this isn't really used for now, so don't worry about this. At the bottom, you have a few things to note. This is the direct link to our Twitter, so you never get the wrong Twitter. You can always check if we're DMing you from the right one. Terms and conditions, so you need to know all these when using the bot, so you don't break any of them, and so you basically just know what our terms and conditions are. Docs, this is documentation, and then here you can buy proxies, residential proxies, and this check for updates. Alright, so that's basically it. Went over a lot of cool things that the bot can do in this video, and basically everything you need to know to get started. As always, if you have other questions that you want to get answered, then you can DM me or give me a ping in Discord, or even create a ticket, and I'll be sure to help you. If I'm not on, another mod will be. And yeah, I hope that you guys learned something new about this bot, and I hope to see you on the team if you're not already there. Thanks for watching.